Do you want to learn anything fast? Are you interested in supercharging your mind? If you nodded yes to any of those questions, then you're in the right place. Today, we're going to explore a fascinating realm where knowledge acquisition meets brainpower. It's a world where learning isn't just about cramming facts and figures, but about understanding concepts and ideas at a deeper, more meaningful level. This isn't just about acing your next exam or impressing your boss with your know-how. It's about enriching your life, expanding your horizons, and becoming the best version of yourself. The secret lies in 10 powerful mind tricks that can accelerate your learning. These techniques are scientifically proven and have been used by successful individuals across various fields. So whether you're a student, a professional, or just a curious mind, there's something valuable here for you. Stay tuned as we dive into 10 powerful mind tricks that can accelerate your learning. Mind trick 1. The Feynman Technique. It's all about simplifying what you've learned. Named after the famous physicist Richard Feynman, this technique is a powerful tool for enhancing understanding. The idea is to pretend you're teaching the concept to a child. Why a child? Well, children are curious, but they also require simple, jargon-free explanations. So if you're learning about quantum physics, for instance, you need to break it down into bite-sized, digestible pieces. The Feynman technique forces you to clarify your thoughts, identify gaps in your understanding, and simplify complex ideas. It's all about getting to the heart of the matter, stripping away all unnecessary details. And guess what? This process doesn't just benefit the imaginary child, it benefits you. It helps you understand the concept at a deeper level, making it stick in your memory for longer. Remember, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't fully understand it yourself. Moving to mind trick 2, spaced repetition. Boost your memory retention with this trick. So what is spaced repetition? This technique involves reviewing information at increasing intervals over time. It's like exercising your memory muscles, giving them just enough of a workout to stay in shape. But why does it work? Well, our brains are wired to forget things. By revisiting information just as we're about to forget it, we strengthen our memory of it. It's like telling your brain, hey, this is important, don't forget it. Now, you might be wondering how to implement this technique. Luckily, there are numerous apps and tools that can help schedule your reviews, such as Anki or Quizlet. These platforms use algorithms to determine the best time to review specific information, making the process seamless. With spaced repetition, you can have your memory working like a well-oiled machine. Mind trick 3. The Pomodoro Technique. Break your study sessions into manageable chunks. Just as the name suggests, the Pomodoro Technique is all about time. Picture a tomato-shaped kitchen timer, and you've got the basic idea. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 25 minutes and dedicate this time solely to the task at hand. No distractions, no checking your phone or social media, just focused work. Once the timer rings, take a 5-minute break. This is 1 Pomodoro. After completing 4 Pomodoros, take a longer break, about 15 to 30 minutes. The beauty of the Pomodoro technique lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. It maintains high levels of concentration by giving your brain the breaks it needs to refresh and recharge. This technique can transform your study sessions from long, tedious marathons into short, focused sprints. Remember, it's about quality, not quantity, when it comes to studying. Mind trick 4, visualization and mental mapping. Create a mental picture of your learning. Now let's dive into the world of mental imagery. Visualization is all about creating a mental representation of what you're trying to learn. This could be anything from a complex scientific theory to a historical event. By visualizing, you're not just reading or hearing about it, you're actually seeing it in your mind's eye. Now let's add another layer. Mental mapping. This technique involves organizing this visual information in a structured way, creating connections between different pieces of information. Imagine your mind as a giant canvas, and each piece of information as a stroke of paint. Mental mapping is the art of arranging these strokes in a meaningful pattern. These techniques are not just fun but incredibly effective. They engage your brain in a more profound way, helping you understand and remember information better. So, next time you're learning something new, don't just read it, visualize it. With visualization, you're painting your own picture of knowledge. Mind trick 5, active recall. Test yourself to reinforce your memory. Welcome to the concept of active recall, a game changer in the field of learning and memory reinforcement, and quite possibly the answer to your study woes. Picture this. You devote hours to studying, poring over your notes, but the next morning the information seems hazy and elusive. Sounds familiar and frustrating, right? This is where active recall steps in, promising to rewrite your study narrative. Active recall isn't about simple review or passive reading. It's about engaging your brain in retrieving information learned. It's about turning the tables on the traditional reading techniques. How? Let's explore with an example. Rather than merely skimming through your notes repetitively, try drafting a summary of the key points without glancing at your notes. Challenge yourself by quizzing on the concepts you've studied. Sounds tough? That's the point. This approach of actively striving to remember stimulates the memory pathways in your brain, enhancing the probability of retrieving the information in the future. Imagine your brain as a muscle, the practice of retrieval making it stronger and more resilient, quite similar to muscle memory. The more you test yourself, the stronger your memory becomes. Sounds intriguing, right? So the next time you find yourself sitting with your books, don't just read. Practice active recall. Remember, it's not just about learning, it's about remembering. Active recall is about making your brain work to retrieve information. Mind trick 6. Interleaved practice. Mix up your study topics for better problem solving and adaptability. Now, what does this mean? Well, instead of focusing on one subject or topic at a time, try studying different subjects or topics within a single study session. This technique is like cross-training for your brain, allowing it to flex and stretch its cognitive muscles. The benefits? You're not just memorizing facts in isolation, you're also learning to connect the dots between different subjects. It's about seeing the bigger picture and how different ideas intertwine. This method can greatly enhance your problem-solving skills and adaptability. For instance, you might find that something you learn in a history lesson could help you understand a concept in sociology. It's all about making connections, and learning becomes a lot more interesting and fun when you see how it all fits together. Interleaved practice is like a workout for your brain, making it stronger and more flexible. Mind trick 7. Teaching others. Enhance your comprehension by elaborating it to others, a potent learning tool. You might have pondered how educators an immaculate grasp of their subjects. The answer is straightforward. Teaching others allows them to refine their understanding and fill in any knowledge gaps. Sounds complex? Absolutely not. You need not be an expert to utilize this approach. This method can be used in different settings such as group studies or peer learning. Start with explaining a fresh concept to a friend or a family member. The benefit is twofold here. You to strengthen your understanding, and in return, they grasp something new. This reciprocity not just reinforces your comprehension, but also cultivates a conducive learning atmosphere. Imagine this scenario. You've learned something new, and instead of hoarding this newly acquired knowledge, you decide to share it. The moment you begin to explain, you're not just reiterating facts, you're revisiting them, analyzing them from a different perspective, and thereby cementing the information in your mind. This, in turn, amplifies your learning process. So, every time you acquire a new piece of information, don't leave it marinating in your mind. Distribute it, dissect it, delve into it, and you'll find your understanding deepening considerably. Through this act of sharing, you create a symbiotic learning environment that benefits all parties. Remember, when you teach, you learn twice. Mind trick 8. Associative learning. Link new information with something you already know. This technique is all about making connections. Imagine your mind as a vast web. Each strand represents a piece of knowledge or a memory. Now, when you learn something new, instead of letting it float around, you can anchor it to an existing strand. This way, it's easier to retrieve when you need it because it's not isolated. It's part of the web. Now, how can we apply associative learning? Well, mnemonic devices are a fantastic tool. Ever had to remember a list and used a catchy acronym? That's a mnemonic. Or maybe you've linked a visual image to a concept. That's a mnemonic too. These tools help make new information more digestible and memorable by tying it to something familiar. Associative learning is like creating a web of knowledge in your mind. It's about making learning an integrated, holistic experience rather than a disjointed, challenging task. Mind trick 9, the 80-20 rule. Focus on the most impactful 20% of the material. Ever heard of the Pareto principle? It's a concept that suggests 80% of outcomes come from 20% of causes. Now you must be wondering, how does this apply to learning? Well, it's simple. Often a vast chunk of what we learn can be traced back to a small portion of fundamental concepts. So if we focus on understanding and mastering these foundational elements, we can significantly increase our comprehension and retention of the entire subject matter. This doesn't mean you should ignore the remaining 80%. Instead, it's about prioritizing your study time and efforts on the most impactful 20%. This effective approach can accelerate your learning process and give you a solid grasp of the core ideas, which will, in turn, make understanding the rest much easier. Remember, it's not about how much you study, but what you study. Mind trick 10. Mindful meditation. Improve your focus and mental clarity with meditation. It's like a calming balm for your busy, buzzing brain, and it's simpler than it sounds. Just sit quietly and focus on your breath. Feel it going in and out. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently bring it back to your breath. No judgment, no stress, just breath and awareness. Try doing this for just 5 minutes before you start learning something new. It will prepare your mind, clearing it of distractions and noise. It's like tidying your workspace before you start a new project. Meditation is not about emptying your mind, but about becoming an observer of your thoughts. It helps you become more aware of the chatter in your mind and, over time, enables you to better control it. So, sit, breathe, and observe. Don't be surprised when you start seeing a difference in your focus and understanding. Meditation can clear the fog in your mind, making way for new information. So, those were the 10 mind tricks to learn anything fast. Let's do a quick recap. We kicked off with the Feynman Technique, where you simplify and teach a concept to a child to gain a deeper understanding. Then, we discussed spaced repetition and how scheduled reviews can enhance memory retention. The Pomodoro technique showed us value of focused study sessions with short breaks, while visualization and mental mapping offered a creative way to remember information. Active recall encourages self-testing, and interleaved practice promotes studying various topics in one session. Teaching others can solidify your understanding, while associative learning helps you link new information with known concepts. The 80-20 rule focuses on the most impactful part of the material, and finally, meditation can improve focus and mental clarity. Remember, practice makes perfect. So start using these mind tricks today, and see the difference in your learning process. If you found these mind tricks helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content.